Mike, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can.
Perfect, thank you. We can hear you too.
Well, good evening to everyone and welcome to this week's meeting of the Town of Mills River Planning Board. So we're going to get started right on the button. If you guys will please join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so all of the board members should have gotten a copy of tonight's agenda. Are there any adjustments or additions that anyone would like to make? Okay, we'll leave the agenda as it stands. You should have gotten an email copy of the minutes from May the 4th. Had a chance to look over that. If there are any corrections, now would be the time to say. Otherwise, I will love to hear a motion to accept those minutes.
Make a motion, we accept the minutes.
And I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Passes unanimously. Okay, and so now this is the time for public comment. You want me to go grab? I'll get it.
Yeah, please. We have not received anything electronic.
Are either of the people who've signed up for public comment here for anything other than the issue with the rezoning of Anointed Word? Nobody for anything different? Okay, so we'll save that public comment when we get to that particular part of the agenda. And since we have no other public comment, that's what we'll do now. So the next thing on the agenda is our old business, which is the rezoning request R2101 for the Anointed Word Church. So what I'm going to do right now is just let you guys just refresh our memory of what this request is regarding, and then we'll go from there.
I'm Pastor Ellis. You guys know me already. We applied for rezoning of 2 acres of the church property. One of the reasons we've done that, and I know you have a comprehensive plan, and I understand that, and it's good to make plans. A man plans his ways, but the Lord directs his steps. And we had planned on that being a parking lot and probably the church growing and growing, but something happened. We had a COVID pandemic, and as a result of the pandemic, fewer people are coming to church, and the church attendance has dropped, but the bills continue on. And so the church really needs to be able to sell that property. It's kind of there's a lot of traffic goes up and down Butler Bridge already. And I know that as a result of that traffic, I don't know if someone would want to build a house there or not. Right now it's zoned residential, but I'm not sure that they would, maybe. But we have a gentleman that would like to buy the property. He'd like to put a warehouse on it. And that warehouse is to store generators and lightning surge protection equipment. It's not to manufacture anything. It would be a low traffic area. I mean, it's a business. It really, I don't think would add very much at all to traffic. It would employ probably no more than 10 people, right? And it would be mostly warehouse with a few offices. And I think it'd be a benefit to our community, but he needs to build something that's around 40,000 square feet. Whereas, and I noticed that on the map that you guys sent out, MRNC is just right across the road and also down the street, but that only allows for, I think, 10,000 square feet is what I was talking with the new planner, and I think he told me that this week. If that's correct, that's correct. So even though it's more than 10,000 square feet, I think that would be the only thing that would probably differ. It's kind of on the borderline. There's a lot of other businesses close by. Of course, we all know Pepsi, FedEx, Amazon around the corner, and down the road, Air Check right on Butler Bridge, which I guess that's been grandfathered in, but it's a business that's right on Butler Bridge as well. And then the daycare. So we're just asking for maybe a little grace and maybe approval to be able to do that in light of everything that has happened. And we would just like your favorable consideration of that. We did talk to Richard Marlowe across the road, and he has no objections at all to it. He said he thought it'd be fine to have a business there. And also Mrs. Pryor, we talked to her, and she said she had no objections to it either. So, and my wife and I own the house just on the other side of the church. And yeah, we have no objections to it. And the principal has no objections. So, so I know you have the plan, but from what I could gather at the last meeting, it is legal, I guess, to make exceptions to the rule. And so that's what we're asking for. Thank you. I don't know if you're.
Thank you, Mr. Ellis. So would you like to speak tonight, sir, since you are one of the parties that's involved with this, or are you? I mean, if you didn't plan to, that's okay. I just wanted to give you that opportunity.
No, I think last time I spoke, like I said, it'd be a nice business because I've got OCD and it'd be clean, beautiful business. We'd landscape a lot more than we'd be required to landscape. We said we would landscape the entire setback, which I think is 60 feet, 30 on each side would all be landscaped. We just have a driveway that'd go around the back. Employee parking would be around the back, and then we'd take our deliveries around the back. It'd be concrete construction, it'd be tilt-up wall. It'd be a beautiful building. And like I said, it's primarily our offices or engineering. We just do sales out of the office. There would be some people that would come in there to look at the product to buy. So I think it'd be an asset to the community. I'd make sure there was. That's about all I can say.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so now I'd like to shift to any additional public comment. We have a William Knudsen. Hi. Did I get that? Did I mess the name up?
If I got a name like that, I can't complain.
Well, you know, okay, the silent, I don't know.
Hello. Yeah, I happen to live next door, and I'm a little hard of hearing, 'cause I've been through chemotherapy and it damaged my ears. And I'm just mentioning that because it is kind of loud there, thinking about, if would I build a house there in that area there? I would not, because of the fact that there's a little bit too much noise there for be for me. So I don't think it would be a good place to build a house, basically. So then what do you do with it? What do you do with the property there? I do also attend the church. It's my church, it's a great church. And I think my opinion is that it'd be a win-win for everybody. There'd be some tax revenue, there'd be, some work, right now it's, pardon me? Yes, yeah, some jobs. The property's kind of overgrown right now. I think it would look nice. And like I said, as living there next door, it just, the noise that's there. I mean, it's, I couldn't imagine anybody wanting to build a house is my point there. So, I know some of the neighbors. You can tell I'm very bashful, and so I've gotten to know a number of the neighbors, and they're good people, and nobody that I've spoken to has a problem with it. So I just wanted to share that. But it would also be a great blessing for the church. So appreciate your consideration. So thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, so at this time, we as a board can go into our time of discussion regarding this. If there are any questions that we would like to ask either of these parties, now would be the time to do so. Just a reminder what our job is in this particular matter. We, and correct me, Daniel, if I'm wrong, but we are again making a recommendation to town council. We do not actually make the decision as to whether this property will be rezoned. We simply send a recommendation to town council based on what we have heard and what we decide, and they will make that final decision. So I would simply entertain any discussion or any questions that you might have.
I'd like to ask Daniel one, did we receive any comments from any other residents adjacent to there?
We have not.
No.
Aside from these folks this evening, we've not received anything further.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'm a little bit, what's the word? I'll use the word skittish, because about 3 years ago, we did a similar project, and we rezoned a piece of property to this zoning we're requesting, and the deal fell through. So that leaves us with that piece of property, which incidentally is over on 280 next to where next to CVS and the storage unit building. And it is rezoned for this now. But that also leaves, and it would leave this one open if it fell through, for a lot of things that I don't think would fit in a residential. I like that area over there. I looked at that area seriously 15 years ago. I never could find a place. Otherwise, I'd be one of the residents over there now. But it's just, I went back today and looked again, and the neighborhood seems to be basically what it was 15 years ago. And then again, I have some concern. We're saying, I think you mentioned before that you want to build 40,000 square foot warehouse, and I'm concerned who's going to occupy the other. You said you weren't going to use it all.
No, we plan on using it all. There's not going to be any leasing of it.
And your company would be utilizing for what you were talking about, the power equipment.
Yes, sir. Actually, what it is it's power generation,
Yeah.
Power generation, light and surge suppression. It's also for vehicle charging systems, because that's where the future's going. So we're also distributing vehicle charging systems out of it in the future. And that was another reason that we actually needed the additional square footage.
Okay. Okay, of course, like I said, if it's rezoned and we don't make the final decision, as Sherry said, but it would open it up if the deal were to follow through.
I would go ahead,
Yeah, but come up to the microphone, yeah.
I mean, I would even agree to, do any paperwork I need to do, because if it's rezoned, I would purchase it. So, and I'm just going to write a check for the property. And we would build there. So it would. And then actually my son, like I said, he works with me now. And when I retire, he's taking over the company. That's why he stopped being an attorney and decided to come to work in the company. But he'll just run the business from now on, and then it'll be a family business. So we're not going to be doing anything else with it other than that, because the business is a good business, and it's a business of the future. This is.
If Joel did not buy the property, I would give you my word that we would drop that zoning if you wanted us to, and reapply for MRNC like it's across the street. If he doesn't buy it, so that you wouldn't have to have concerns about who would be coming in there in the future.
Well, after my understanding, that to take it back to another zoning, it would have to be another process. It's like
Yeah.
what we're talking about now.
But I mean, he's definitely, he wants the land. He would really like to build there. We'd like to have him there as our neighbor. He has the money to do it. I just don't see at all how it would fall through. And if it did, I give you my word that we would say, okay, we'll reapply for MRNC instead of the general business, which thank you.
He's a man of his word.
I believe most people here are here in support, that you've taken your time to come here to show your support. And we have no opposing. And sir, you would be most affected because you'd be affected, you live there.
And everybody, yes, and everybody I've talked to, like I said, I've talked a lot, and I like to get to know people, and everybody is positive about it.
So just a couple of general comments on my part. And I want to say, first of all, that this year has been a very strange and unusual year for a lot of people and a lot of businesses. And unfortunately, that makes this a unique situation. My concern is if we make a decision in this year that has been so incredibly weird, I mean, this is putting a spot of zoning where that zoning doesn't exist. I am an educator, and one of my concerns is obviously for the school that's close by. The track that is actively used by those students, they had to move one of the playgrounds, and those students now are pretty much use the track that is right behind that piece of property, abutting that piece of property. Those students use that when they're outside. I actually called Mr. Hart myself, the principal of Marlowe, because I actually know him and wanted just his opinion. And he did say that for the purpose that you were proposing currently, that he did not see a problem with that. But he said, I cannot tell you that I would not have a problem with any other use that could come in general business zoning. So I think what one of our goals as a planning board should be is to look not just at what this today, tomorrow might be, but look at what could the could-bes be. That's our job to do, is to look both today and towards the future, whatever that looks like. and ask questions pertinent to that as well. So.
My concern is, someone in the staff told these people that they should apply for general business. And in my opinion, that was a mistake. They should have been like the people across the street or whatever. But I understand it takes that 40,000.
Yeah, I think if he had a plan, then that would probably have been the only thing that that particular plan would have fit into, perhaps. I mean, I don't know, but.
You know, I still say,
So do any,
I'm like
Sorry,
this
Lane.
gentleman back here that spoke. Nobody's gonna build a house there. So you're taking that opportunity away if you vote against it. So that's all I got to say.
does anybody have any additional questions?
No questions, just a comment. There are no guarantees in life, but this is as close to a guarantee as I've ever heard in the rezoning process. And because of that, I feel pretty comfortable with voting for approval of it. I think from what we've heard, it fits in the neighborhood. I agree. The one caveat to my support is, you know, if the deal were to fall through, then what would that leave us? But even at that, we've heard some assurances that, you know, like I said, I think this is as close to a guarantee as we'll ever see in this business. So that's where I stand.
Yeah, I agree. I know I asked a lot of questions last week about it to get, or last time we met about it, to get some level of assurance and to understand the process. I think if there were a type of a conditional zoning that could be for the life of this project, I think this would be the perfect use for it, but we don't have that. And I'm not opposed to the project. I think that you're thinking about Butler Bridge Road and what it's going to look like in the future. And, you know, I don't imagine someone building a single family house right next to Butler Bridge Road. I could imagine developments where you have, you know, the common driveways and blah, blah, blah. But I'm not opposed to it. I would be in favor.
Anything else?
Madam Chair, may I speak for just a moment?
You certainly may.
I just want to clarify, in addition to a recommendation for or against, or whatever the board chooses to do, there is also a statement of consistency in your packet. And this is a draft of something that was put together for the last meeting. And as has been stated, you don't have to follow this. You just have to acknowledge whether or not it's consistent or inconsistent. As drafted, this is inconsistent with the plans. But again, that is not a determining factor as to whether or not you can make a recommendation for this project. And I would just caution the board, I'm questioning no one's integrity, no one's character. The contract zoning is illegal in North Carolina. So we need to make sure the record reflects that the board is making this decision based on the application in front of them, not on promises made about if something falls through. That's illegal.
Could I possibly get a copy of what you got at the last meeting since I was not here? The statement of consistency. Thank you. Okay, so if no one has any additional questions, then I would certainly entertain a recommendation that we could vote on, and then we will have to look at making this, whatever that may be, a statement to go along with that.
Do we have a draft statement to say as far as a motion?
Yeah, it was in your packet
And
last time. And I just handed, Carly, would you pass that over to Jeff, please?
I'm sorry, I didn't.
in essence, what that statement is saying is that according to the adopted plan of the town, the existing land use plan recommends this as residential, and going to commercial simply is inconsistent. Not that it's a bad idea or anyone has any personal concerns. It's just simply the fact. And then the same thing on the backside with the forthcoming comprehensive plan. It's also inconsistent with that.
So it's the same for both the current plan and the newly
That's right.
comprehensive plan.
Yeah,
It's
and
inconsistent
council-
with both.
That's correct. And council will do the same thing when it gets to them. They'll adopt a similar statement.
Well, I don't mind making a motion. I didn't know if there was a standard motion. So, well,
If you would just please reference that statement in your motion.
yeah, I certainly will. Okay, I make a motion that the request to rezone the property for the Anointed Word Church be approved, even though it is inconsistent with the comprehensive plan at this time, and that our statement would reflect that it is inconsistent.
We have a motion that we recommend approval to town council in spite of the inconsistencies with the current and proposed comprehensive plan. Do I have a second?
I second.
Have a second from Cheryl. All those in favor say aye. Those against? Aye. So it's 3-2, 3 to recommend and 2 no. So that recommendation will go to town council. And do you know, Daniel, when they will hear this matter?
Yeah, the public hearing is scheduled for next Thursday, the 27th at 6:30, right back here.
Okay, thank you. I'll give you an opportunity if you'd like to scoot on out, or you can stay for the rest of our meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice to meet y'all.
Okay, so we have no new business on our agenda for tonight, so we'll check that off. Now we're to the point of additional items on the agenda. One of the things that I would like to mention, and this is probably more specifically for town staff than it is for something that we need to do. But I have had the opportunity to talk individually with several members of the planning board, and we would like to request that moving forward, anytime that there are supporting documents that need to come before us with any sort of recommendation or decision that we need to make, that those be included with the agenda at least 48 hours prior to. Sooner than that would be fantastic, but at least 48 hours. And that's simply because I know a lot of us on the board invest time in thinking about and making decisions. And if we're given information and we don't have time to do a little bit of research ourselves or even drive by and visit a property that we may not be familiar with, getting something the day of is very challenging. So we would respectfully make that request and just ask if that were not possible, that that particular item be removed from that agenda until the next time.
Sure, we can do that.
That's awesome.
I add a little bit to that. We normally get it on Friday afternoon before we're coming up. Could we possibly move that to Thursday with the supporting documents? Like I say, Friday afternoon at 3 or 4 o'clock, and the weekend's coming up, and a lot of times
Yeah.
you got things. It would just, to me, it would just be more, if possible, we can do that. I know y'all have a lot to do, but but that would.
Well, that's a great
I know it would
segue.
help me out.
That's a great segue into, when you have a moment, I want to introduce our new zoning administrator.
One other thing I commented before on this. I went by today, the property we just voted on. And is it possible to come up with a better sign, a larger sign, announcing that this property is, proposed to be rezoned? I mean, that little, it's pitiful. Yeah, most places I've seen, actually, I'm accustomed, but I hate to say that, but they used to use a 4x8 sheet of plywood. It had all the information and it was visible
Mhm.
both directions.
Mhm.
And because even today, and
Mhm.
I knew you had put it up.
Yeah.
I had trouble finding it. Of course, somebody obviously tried to knock it down, I think, too. But that's just my suggestion.
Daniel, did you also want to mention a change in our schedule moving forward, or are you going to?
I would be happy to.
Okay.
I reached out to Chairwoman about the planning board's schedule. Last year, we were meeting once a month, and I requested that we go to 2 meetings a month because we were dealing with so many text amendments, namely the 160D changes, and then, of course, the comprehensive plan. Well, the 160D changes are complete. The comprehensive plan is complete as far as its drafting is concerned. It has not been adopted yet. So as far as my request is to go back down to 1 meeting a month unless there's an emergency or we need a special called meeting. That would be my recommendation.
Is that something that requires a motion? Yes. Well, I make a motion that beginning in June, that we go to 1 meeting per month unless there is some sort of emergency that we need to deal with.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
So that passes unanimously.
Well, that is a good point. Your typical meeting is the 3rd Tuesday? First and third. Okay.
The first Tuesday. Yes, he did. Okay, now Daniel, if you'd like to do introduction.
Sure. Give me 1 second. Mike, if you are available, now is your moment to shine. Do a quick audio test for us.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hey everyone, my name is Mike Malachek. I'm the new zoning administrator for the town, coming from the Triangle, Durham, North Carolina area. I was a planner for a small city north of Raleigh for years, but have an extensive background in real estate and land use and zoning, and really excited to get up there and join the town and get going. So Daniel's already been working remotely the last 2 weeks, so Daniel's already got me going on a lot of stuff, and just anxious to get there and dig deep into it. So nice to meet you all.
Welcome to Mills River. We're glad to have you.
Yeah, welcome to Mills River. We got a great history here, and it's a good place to be.
Looking forward to it.
So when will you actually be moving here?
So I'll be in the office. So I'll be up there coming Monday, this Monday. But you know, with the market and everything up there being so crazy, my wife and I weren't able to find an apartment until the beginning of June. So I'm doing a short-term rental for the next 2 weeks, and then we'll finally move at the beginning of June. But yeah, it'll be good to at least do it in stages and, you know, move into the office first, and you know, then we'll get all settled in the beginning of June. So, but yeah, we're both looking forward to it.
Very good. I know our town staff is eager to get you aboard as well.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay, are there any additional items you need to?
That's it for us.
All right, so it is that magic hour. I would love to entertain the magic motion. Did I? Wayne, did you make that motion? We have a second by Jim. All in favor, say aye. 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 We are now adjourned.